Hello and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Jacqueline Dorsey of Lean Frontiers and I'll serve as your host today. I'm excited to bring to you today a short webinar on lean supply chain facilitated by one of North America's most experienced facilitators, Brad Bossence. So for now, let me turn things over to Brad.
Well, thank you, Jacqueline, and good afternoon, I guess, everybody. What an exciting opportunity for me to be presenting to you today. We have March 16th already, and as I was telling Jacqueline before the call, it's going to be 80 degrees here in Atlanta. So not to rub it in, but some of you might hear my Canadian accent, so you'll know how thrilled I am to be living in the South. Just a little bit about myself. I've spent most of my time in third-party logistics, specifically in Japanese automotive production systems. So you can see some of the experiences I've had there. And I'm also instructor at Georgia Tech Supply Chain and Logistics Institute. So we have the opportunity to meet a lot of folks, embracing lean, whether new in their journey or quite advanced. And as a regional vice president of LeanCor Supply Chain Group, I've got the opportunity to work with many folks, and some of you on the phone, I suspect. Who is LeanCor Supply Chain Group? Real quick, our marketing tagline is: we teach, we consult, we do. So that means we're teachers. We believe in training and education before any major events. So culture, as we know, is so important to sustaining improvements, and I'm sure a lot of people are nodding their heads. So we really focus on the training element. We consult as well, anywhere from end-to-end work to warehouse designs and network optimizations to facilitating Kaizen events, and we also run a logistics operation, a third-party logistics operation. So we get it. We get that. The things aren't ever easy. We believe that in the principle of no problem is a problem, which means we embrace problems to get better, and we need to make problems visible always. So just to get into our discussion today, I thought I'd just open it up with this one visual, and really this is a dichotomy, if you will, of the two different cultures that we're talking about. Would be traditional thinking and lean thinking cultures. And certainly from my travels and my short career, this is one thing that you can really tell is the differences between lean and what we call traditional cultures, and cultures trying to embrace a more leaner approach. And we've taken some attempts to actually write some of these things down, and thought it'd be a good way to open up the discussion is that you can really see the differences between cultures. You can see it in process. You can see it in people and management activities. You can see it in management systems altogether. And just some examples: push versus pull. Batch and queue versus one-piece flow. Even scrolling down the list, the cause of people. The cause of problems is people. We ask who in a traditional environment. Who did this? Who's responsible? Whereas what we're trying to embrace in a lean culture is the why. We ask why. We ask why. And I even find myself challenged to do that from time to time. It's always a habit. We want to ask who, but a better habit is to ask why, to expose more problems. The highlighted item is saying that the business is a collection of independent departments versus the business is a system of interdependent departments. And for the purpose of this discussion, I think this is really the gist of the difference of lean logistics and lean supply chain as what we're calling it, is that a lean supply chain really is focused on the system. When we optimize one area, we're typically sub-optimizing the rest. So if I can compare lean supply chain and really an orchestra. So what you see is a picture of an orchestra. You've got a conductor. You've got different musicians here and playing a different role off of a piece of paper that everybody else is literally playing off of. What we're saying, what I'm advocating is essentially that the conductor is your supply chain management, is managing the system. And then you've got your logistics. It could be your trucking, and could be your material planning, could be purchasing, could be warehousing. But the point is that there's a rhythm for all of these logistics functions. And trying to optimize one function independently will automatically sub-optimize the rest. So what does that mean? What that means is it doesn't matter what our trucking strategy is. What matters is how our trucking strategy connects to the rest of the system. Time and time again, we run up against supply chain assessment work where we find that rate per mile and different initiatives are really causing what we call unintended consequences, and we believe that it's not intended. What is intended is to reduce cost in transportation. That makes a lot of sense. Don't disagree with that one bit. But what we need to understand is what the outcome of that will cause. And a lot of times, just using the rate per mile example, is a lot of times low-cost transportation is eventually going to lead to a cost somewhere else. For example, shipping product once per week instead of daily, although it's a lot cheaper, the result is going to be inventory storage. So now there's an increase in warehousing costs, for example. So that's just another way of looking at logistics and supply chain management. And sometimes when we open up our courses and classes, we'll really get people talking about what their definitions are. And our industry in general has just faced an incredible amount of confusion, I think, in what the definitions are. This is a definition I think that makes a lot of sense. And so when we talk about lean supply chain, if we were to have some Post-its together and all of us were trying to think of words that would define these things, and you'd probably you'd go to your lean toolkit and you think about the principles. And in principle, they're planned, they're stable, they'd be visible, collaborative, inventory, lead time reduction, first-time quality, etc. So you can see these sort of, I'm just going to call them Post-its. But what does that really mean to a supply chain? Like, how do I make a supply chain plan? How do I make it collaborative? And how do I assess that I'm actually doing these things? And one thing that is a really big difference between very successful supply chain organizations and ones that are really trying to get off the ground is just the adaptation of what we call principles. So it's important to define what a principle is, and some of you might be fathers and mothers, and you'll know what I mean when we talk about principles in a household. So if we're raising children, some principles would be do unto others as others do unto you, or respect elders, or just things that you expect that are going to sustain when you're not around. So I have children. When they grow older, I expect that the principles I teach are going to develop their culture ultimately. So these are some examples that we really focused on in lean manufacturing. So what we've done at LeanCor is try to really take that to the next level and develop some guiding principles for lean supply chain that are really timeless. And there's 7 here that we encourage you to embrace. Think about them. Reach out to me if you want to challenge and have a good dialogue on some of these. But when we approach our work to improve flow and to improve all the things that we just talked about, these would be the principles that we would take. So make demand, make consumption visible throughout the fulfillment stream. So we're starting with make consumption visible because that's the customer element. If pull means that consumption drives replenishment, then we need to have visibility. So visibility being the guiding principle, and demand is what we want to make visible. So there's a purpose behind visibility. Reducing lead time so that we can pull. We know that inside of lead time there are 2 things. It's waste or it's value. So to describe that a little bit further, product is either moving closer to the customer or it is not. Simple as that. And if it's not, it's either sitting, it's being reworked, it's being possibly overproduced, overmotion, and all the wastes that we talk about in lean. So to reduce all that waste, then we need to focus on lead time. And in lean, we believe in economies of time, not necessarily economies of scale. Creating level of flow to reduce variation. That's a warehouse manager would know what we mean by that. 50 trucks on Monday and 2 trucks on Tuesday and 30 on Wednesday means that your employee staffing, your equipment staffing is just going to be absolutely incredibly difficult. Using pull to eliminate overproduction. Number 5, collaborate, solve problems, focus on problem, process, discipline. This one here is really about the problem-solving culture. How do we ensure that problems are visible? How do we can create an environment in our cultures that's both safe, not only from your typical damages and going to work and not being hurt or anything like that, but safe because it's an emotionally safe environment that I can point out problems. So what's interesting about this principle is that, connecting to all the other ones, is that we recognize as system thinkers and as lean supply chain thinkers, we recognize that a lot of the waste is in between the handoffs of different modes. So think about a trucking is handing off to warehousing, warehousing is handing off to trucking again, and perhaps manufacturing, or whatever your fulfillment stream looks like. Most of the time, the waste is inside of the handoffs. So the challenge, so what, would be the challenge is that we need to be able to get outside of our 4 walls to create stability inside of our 4 walls. And in order to do that, we need to have problem-solving cultures, which is why training is so important. Velocity to drive flexibility is a principle. So the thinking of velocity is, to give you an example of velocity, think about Delta Airlines and think about somebody from Atlanta. So I'm in Atlanta. If I want to get to Chicago, I have literally 15 options per day, per airline, basically. So I could literally get to Chicago in 2 hours. 2 hours would probably be what it would take to, to fly to Chicago from Atlanta. So if there was only one flight, so take, for example, me going to Moline, Illinois, for example, there's 1 flight per day. If that flight was 8 o'clock this morning, then there's no chance of me getting to Moline until tomorrow morning. So you just think about these things in terms of material flow. If there's more frequency of deliveries, there's a lot more flexibility. If I'm a material planner and I need to make a change because production changed or because demand changed last minute, there's just been change, then if I have more flexibility in terms of delivery options, then I could certainly have a much more stable delivery system, delivery output. And then, of course, the last one, and being very, very important, is that we lead and make decisions based on the total cost of fulfillment. So by the total cost of fulfillment, and this is a term that more and more companies are embracing, and it's absolutely wonderful that we're evolving this way, is that there's cost inside of transportation, there's cost inside of warehousing, there's cost inside of inventory. Inventory carrying costs have incredible amount of cost as well. So by focusing on total cost, we can actually make better decisions inside of all those different modes. So if you have a total cost model, you are probably much more advanced than most companies out there. And this is some of the work that we've actually been doing with some well-known companies now. So that people can make decisions inside your organization, know that you're doing the right thing, know that it's focusing on the system. So these are some great principles. We find that we're applying them to just about all the work that we do, and they're literally our filters as we're approaching lean improvements inside of supply chain, reduced inventory, and improved delivery on time and full. You know, this is a fun picture of the old whack-a-mole. What happens if we don't have principles, if we don't have a total system alignment, then what we have is, no different than a game of whack-a-mole. So mole pops up, whack, I go after transportation costs. Now warehousing costs go up because of that. Now I'm demanding reduction in warehousing costs. Now inventory, some other cost pops up somewhere. So really this is about aligning the entire organization, your suppliers, your customers, and not just departments, but there's not many departments inside organizations that don't touch the supply chain. So another failure we see, and quite frankly, I've been at the root of some of these too. I wouldn't be sharing it if I didn't. It's just making sure that the right people are involved in some of these initiatives. So if I, just to show you this next slide, this is a, I'll speak to that comment. This is an extended value stream map. So what you're seeing here is just a digitized version, if you will, of probably what used to be Post-its. But you see the material flow from left to right, from supplier, and it's one SKU, all the way through a factory, all the way through a distribution center, all the way through a local distributor. This is a system. This is a SKU that flows through all these different things. And just imagine how many vice presidents are responsible for that SKU throughout its lifetime. Like, it's just absolutely amazing what when you look at things this way, and the power of the value stream thinking is that if we can really get all of these people involved in what we're trying to improve, we have much better chances for success. And so some of the things that we look at here, if we even think about the principles that we just talked about, consumption being visible, we want to understand consumption because that's what ultimately drives tack time. And what the tack time here, and what tack time is the rate of customer demand. The rate of customer demand in this case is 50 per day, and that's on the far right. Northwest HVAC, they distribute 50 a day. But if you work your way up the supply chain, you can see all kinds of lack of leveled flow. 500 delivered once, 1,000 being stored, and 500 being shipped a month, and just doesn't really follow the principles that we're talking about. So inevitably there's some low-cost transportation inside of this system, but there's a lot more inventory than is certainly required to suit demand every single day. So a really good exercise is to get the right people together and just try mapping. Just try mapping the end-to-end work of some of your material, and look for those quick wins to start gaining some momentum. But certainly start with the principles. And then we talk about the how is how do we deploy such a magnificent vision? And believe me, this isn't hard, this isn't easy. It's not easy one bit, because we're dealing with not only different departments, we might be dealing with different countries, we might be dealing with different subcultural cultures inside of different organizations. Like, they exist. We all know that. So we typically follow this path, this framework, as we like to call it. So starting with the top left is that just the thinking that we have a vision where we want to be, and inside of the vision is getting the right people together to figure out what the future state should actually look like. We usually start with a current state map. We usually start with one SKU, and we usually do one SKU because it's something that we can actually make an impactful difference on. But just working through the circle, we need to develop people. It's just something that is so, it's a lot easier to do. It's an easy investment to train people, lunch and learns, train people on lean principles, train people on what our vision is, train people to make problems visible, train people to help solve their own problems and engage them into the actual work. And these aren't the boardroom people I'm talking about. These are the people that actually do the work. And then what we start to see is a culture starting to develop of success, of people and goals, and then quick wins, and we work our way to our functional improvement areas where we're making improvements inside of material planning or warehousing, and we're making improvements in logistics, and then we're moving to the value stream systems thinking where we're actually really looking at total cost modeling and end-to-end work. Just an amazing journey that some companies are taking right now. I talk about, when I teach lean, I always talk about entropy. Entropy being the second law of thermodynamics, those of you in the physics world, but basically what we're saying is that processes want to wake up in the morning and fall apart. That's their purpose. So if you think about it, if you were to go on vacation, it's like, hide behind your desk when you would say vacation anymore, because it's so hard to get away. And why is that? Well, because we need to stay on top of our processes. Think about entropy in terms of repair and maintenance. Think about the road systems. They just deteriorate. Think about rust never sleeps. It just, as Neil Young said once upon a time, it sets into materials. So with entropy lurking, we need to have good plan, do, check, adjust processes. So if we have a plan and we do our plan, let's make sure that we're checking our plan and adjusting as needed. And in Lean, we believe in small lots, high frequency. First and 10, do it again is the quote at the bottom, because I like this quote a lot and it really connects with some people, is that this is a first and 10, do it again business supply chain. Certainly if you get inside of the modes of supply chain, for sure. But if I compare this to football, some of you football fans out there, you know, the goal of the owner of a football team is to win a Super Bowl, win a championship, no question. The goal of the coach is to win the game. The goal of the players is to get the first down. So where we fail a lot of the time as leaders is really making that next 10 yards really clear to what the team members are expected to do. So connecting 10 yards to winning the game, to winning the championship is a must do. And some ways that we do that, just some visuals here. And some of these are actually LeanCor's offices and some of our customers, but just bringing Lean to all functions and not just going Lean here and Lean there. We're actually talking about supply chain. It touches the entire business. So we expect that the office staff have standard work and that their problems are visible. We expect that everybody in the business is engaged to what the next 10 yards are and what the goal of the game is. We do this through making problems visible, making initiatives visible, huddles. And you see even at the beginning of the warehouse, 10 minutes, 5 minutes at the beginning of the day is just such a powerful way to get everybody huddled around the first and 10, the vision, making sure we have a receiving schedule, making sure we're following the receiving schedule, making sure that we're checking and adjusting when the receiving schedule isn't being followed. So that's just one example. In the bottom far right there, you see just a picture of visible visuals in an office setting, and what some people are calling a lean office, what I would call it is making problems visible. So these people in this office in the bottom right-hand corner are managing lean supply chain initiatives. So with that being the case, then we need to know what they're doing and what their problems are, what their hot spots are, and make an environment that I can immediately talk to you and immediately fix things and get them back on track, but certainly engaging everybody on the vision of where we're going. So we've got just to mention something we're doing at LeanCor. We've got a self-paced online learning course that's really based in and around lean supply chain and lean leadership. And there's just some information for registration if you're interested, or if you can reach out to me. We've also are putting out some books to some of our customers, and we sell some of these on our websites. But the purpose of writing books is to really bring thought leadership into our company. One of the questions I like to ask people, if I'm standing in front of them, teaching them, training them, I ask what they're reading, and a lot of the time it's a little disappointing to hear that folks aren't reading anything. There's so much information out by people that just like you and me that have been out there trying to make the world a better place and eliminate waste and satisfy customer needs at the lowest possible cost. Great information out there. If we want to get better, we need to take the time to actually educate ourselves. Great information. If anybody's interested in certain topics, please reach out to me, and I'll be glad to send you to some recommendations that I have. I guess, and just in closing, I guess here's my contact information, and Jacqueline, I guess brings us to the end.
All right. Well, thank you, Brad. We appreciate you facilitating our session today. As mentioned previously, today's webinar is being recorded. Look for an email following our time together for a link to the recording. Feel free to share this throughout your organization. So again, thank you, Brad, and thanks to each of you for participating in today's session. Goodbye.